Welcome to Rambam In-Depth. Today we'll be discussing the Rambam Hilchot Kiddush HaChodesh, Perek Ches Halachic Daled. The Rambam says as follows: Yom Shloshim L'Olam Oisem Rosh Chodesh B'Cheshbon Zeh. We always make the 30th day of a month Rosh Chodesh. Now, Im Haya HaChodesh Over Chaser, if the preceding month is a Chaser, is a deficient month, Yeh Yom Shloshim Rosh Chodesh Haba. Then the 30th day will be Rosh Chodesh of the forthcoming month, of the new month. However, V'im Yia Chodesh Over Mole, if the past month is a Mole, a full month, so what is the significance of the 30th day? Yia Yem Shloshim Rosh Chodesh. The 30th day will still be Rosh Chodesh, Hayol and Miktsasi Rosh Chodesh, since some of it is Rosh Chodesh, which means that since the moon's cycle is 29 and a half approximately days, so really half of the 30th day could be considered the new moon, which means that the reason why we keep 2 days, although it may be based on the fact that outside of Eretz Yisrael, where the shluchim couldn't arrive in time, they would have to keep 2 days as a Sofek, as a doubt. The truth is that it's not really just a doubt. The 30th day is, in fact, Rosh Chodesh. Part of it, at least, is Rosh Chodesh. Now, you can't make a Rosh Chodesh hours. It doesn't go by hours. Has to be a whole day. That's why we make the whole day Rosh Chodesh. But the truth is that part of the day is inherently Rosh Chodesh. That's what the Rambam seems to be saying. And we'll soon see how that's in Nafkeminu Halacha. So part of the day is Rosh Chodesh. And it's the completion of the full month of the past month. And the 31st day will be the Rosh Chodesh of the new month. And from it will be the count. In other words, though the 30th day is part of Rosh Chodesh, but we don't count the Rosh Chodesh except from the next day, because that's the day number 1 from which we start counting for Yom Tovim. That's the day that's established. So the Rambam's point over here that the 30th day is, in fact, Rosh Chodesh. Part of the day is Rosh Chodesh, although we don't count it as Rosh Chodesh, but it is, in fact, Rosh Chodesh. This answers a question that is asked on the Magen Avraham. There's a dispute on Poskim if a person forgot to say Yaaleh V'Yavo for Mincha, and the night is no longer Rosh Chodesh. Should he say Yaaleh V'Yavo? Because on one hand, yes, he missed it for Mincha. He wasn't Yaitza, so he has to say it for Ma'ariv. On the other hand, but what's the point of saying it for Ma'ariv? Ma'ariv is no longer Rosh Chodesh. So what would be the point? He can't say Yaaleh V'Yavo at Ma'ariv, so he's not making up the Yaaleh V'Yavo. That's the machlekes of Poskim. So the Magen Avraham says, and the Alter Rebbe Paskins like that everyone agrees that if that night is the second night of Rosh Chodesh, when you could say Yaaleh V'Yavo, then certainly you should say Yaaleh V'Yavo for Ma'ariv, and that makes up for the Yaaleh V'Yavo that you missed for Mincha. So the Rabbi Akiva Eiger brings from the Sefer Binyan Ariel, who raises the following question. He says the 2 days of Rosh Chodesh is based on a Sofek, because the people who lived far away from where the Bezdin was established Rosh Chodesh didn't know when Rosh Chodesh was, so they had to keep 2 days. So then it makes no sense. If the second night is Rosh Chodesh, that means by day was not Rosh Chodesh, so you didn't make a mistake. You didn't have to say Yaaleh V'Yavo. And if, on the other hand, then the Rosh Chodesh is during the day, then what's the point in saying Yaaleh V'Yavo at night? You don't accomplish anything. So the Tzlach in Brachos Daf Chavav Amid Beis, he answers that the reason why we keep 2 days, even though the Gemara says this with regard to the month of Tishrei, is because the Levium, originally, the Levium didn't know which Shira to say. So if the Edis, the witnesses, didn't come till after Mincha, they would declare that whole day to be Rosh Chodesh, and they would say the appropriate Shira for Rosh Chodesh. So that means that it's not based on a Sofek, on a doubt, whether the first day is Rosh Chodesh or the second day is Rosh Chodesh. The Chachamim were misaken that you should keep both days. So that's why for the Gabbat Tefillah we say Yaaleh V'Yavo in both days. And both days are considered days of Rosh Chodesh. But the Sefer Emek Bracha says and answers a simpler answer based on the Rambam that we just learned. The Rambam says that the 30th day, even when you have 2 days, the 30th day is Miktsase, is Rosh Chodesh. It is in fact Rosh Chodesh, not just a Sofek. It's in fact Rosh Chodesh because the month is 29 and a half days. So the 29 and a half day and beyond is already Rosh Chodesh. So when Mincha time, when you didn't say Yaaleh V'Yavo, so therefore it makes sense that you would say it at night, because that day was Rosh Chodesh and you had a Chiyuv of Yaaleh V'Yavo. Legabe Tefillah at least. Taka Legabe counting the days, you start counting from the 31st, but what is inherently Rosh Chodesh? Inherently Rosh Chodesh is the 30th day, at least the second half of the 30th day.